Welcome to Knock Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart Federow from Big H, Houston, Texas. Welcome back, Don't Smoke Crack. Rabbi, you got to get tired of that. You have got to get tired of that eventually. I'm just saying.
I already am tired. I was tired with the first time you did it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Welcome back. Don't smoke crack. What is the? What's the?
You have to agree that's great advice, though.
Yes, it's good advice to stay away from all drugs. That's true.
Okay. All right. I'll try. I will try to not do that again. I don't know why. The interesting thing is, some people ask me, so William, did you have a drug problem when you were? Dude, I've never taken anything illegal at all, like ever in my life. So, okay. Well, actually, that's almost true. I did take a bubblegum pack from a store once that my sister gave me. I didn't know she lifted. That was when I was like 7. So that's not the point, though. Rabbi, good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Okay, so yep, and so tonight this is definitely not our norm.
No, it's not.
But I think it's and I don't even know what your answer is going to be yet, Rabbi. But I just know that this is something I don't think we've ever even discussed on. And we're actually at 800 videos. This is like 804. In 800 episodes, I don't think we've ever discussed this topic before. So I am just as curious about this topic as the viewers will be. And it's not a comfortable topic to talk about, Yom HaShoah, the whole Holocaust. So the question remains, if Hashem, if the creator of this universe could save the Jewish people from Egypt and deliver them from the house of bondage for all those years, then why did he allow the Holocaust to actually happen? That's pretty much it. I'm not going to add to it. Don't want to take away from it. I'm leaving it there, and I'm just going to let you see what you've got to say about it. Are you okay with this? Are you cool with answering this?
I'm really okay with this for a very important reason.
Okay, let's do it.
You know, we've never discussed this because our topic is the New Testament and how it relates to Judaism and the whole comparative religion issue.
Certainly.
But the topic of, which is usually stated two ways, by the way, where was God in the Holocaust?
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. Or
how can I believe in God after the Holocaust? These are two separate issues, two separate questions. Okay, but the reason why I jumped at the chance when you proposed this topic is because, to me, the answer to the question, where was God in the Holocaust, how can you believe in God after the Holocaust, okay, is it goes to the heart of the matter to me and gives the answer more than anything else of why be Jewish. Okay. And there are people who will say, be Jewish because they died. And I'm not saying that. That's baloney. Okay. Or they'll say to stop being Jewish is to give a posthumous victory to Hitler is how it's usually worded. Okay. In other words, be Jewish because to stop being Jewish is to give Hitler another victim. Okay. And it sounds great to say that, but it's a lot of bullcrap. I can't be Jewish. And by that, I mean actively promoting the values of Judaism for the sake of somebody else or for the sake of 6 million other people. Okay. I can't choose to be Jewish or choose to be actively Jewish to prevent giving one who was evil another victim. I have to be Jewish because to me, it's the single best religion to be. It's the most logical. It's the most important. It's the most divinely created religion on planet Earth.
Absolutely agree.
And to me, what proves it is the Holocaust. Okay, just bear with me.
Okay.
All right. Hitler's not here anymore. I'm here. I have to recognize and understand the beauty and relevance and necessity of Judaism to be in the world and grasp what Judaism has done for the world and can do for me personally before I'm going to decide to remain Jewish or become Jewish. Okay. I have to, in order for me to become a serious Jew and serious about Judaism, then I have to realize and understand what Judaism can do for me personally and do for the world. Not because some other people died, people I didn't even know. Okay, I'm Jewish not because they died. I'm Jewish because Judaism is the best religion in the world to be. And for me, one proof, not the only proof, but one proof that Judaism is the best religion in the world to be is the fact that the Nazis chose to murder the Jews because they were Jews.
Interesting.
Okay?
Right, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because of what I know about Judaism, because I know what is at the base of Judaism, because I do personally believe in this basis, I know that for those who are evil, for those who are Nazis, for those who believe in Nazism, believe in the final solution, okay, which is the organized mass murder specifically of the Jews, it was a logical, rational, reasonable act to murder the Jews, which is what makes me proud to be Jewish. Okay, let me let that sink in. Okay. A person who knows they're going to do evil in the world, whether or not they believe what they're going to do is evil, the first thing they have to do is defeat the people who are the most well-known to fight them for doing the evil. You follow what I said? If I'm going to do evil in the world and I know you're going to oppose me, then the first thing I have to do to get my evil perpetrated is to get rid of you.
Mm-hmm.
And who is at the forefront of justice in this world? The Jews. Why is the NAACP founded by 6 out of 30 people who founded the NAACP were Jews? Why are the Jews the most lawyers way beyond our percentages? If we're 2% of the United States population, why are we 30% of the lawyers and 30% of the doctors?
Right.
Okay, it's because of our search for justice. Not saying God is love, but saying that God is justice.
Right.
And that justice is the highest characteristic of God. Not the only characteristic, but the highest characteristic. Okay, if God's highest characteristic is love, you have to forgive everybody because that's what you do out of love. Forgive the murderer, forgive the rapist, But if justice is the highest characteristic of God, then you seek justice, as in justice shall you pursue. Deuteronomy. Okay. All right. Okay. The usual question is, where was God in the Holocaust? Okay. Why look, we're about to celebrate 2 nights from now the holiday of Passover, which celebrates freedom and explicitly God saving the Jews from slavery in Egypt. And 5 days, I think it's 5 days, I'll have to look it up. Immediately on the heels of the end of Passover is Yom HaShoah, the Jewish memorial of all those who died in the Holocaust. Okay, so we're celebrating a holiday where God saves the Jews from slavery in Egypt, and then we're commemorating the Holocaust, and we ask, where was God? Okay?
Right.
So let me deal with how can I believe in God after the Holocaust before we get to the question of where was God in the Holocaust. Okay? All right, so if a person says, how can I believe in God after the Holocaust? It means that they believe in God, but the Holocaust represents something so great and something horrible that they can no longer believe in God. Because how can I believe in God after the Holocaust implies that they believe in God until the Holocaust. That the Holocaust was so unusual, so special, so powerful, so whatever, that it renders the belief in God to be impossible. Okay? All right.
Okay.
All right. To me, when a person says, how can I believe in God after the Holocaust? It's a crying out. They're asking for someone to justify the suffering and make sense of the Holocaust. And it's more emotional than intellectual when they make a statement like that. Okay? It's not, look, during the Holocaust, of course, and yes, there are people who lost their faith in God because of their experience in the Holocaust. But I also believe, because I've met them, people who came to faith in God, came to Judaism as a result of their experience in the Holocaust. And I think it's probably 1-to-1, except who talks more about things, the people who lost their faith or the people who found their faith. Okay?
Right.
I'd further venture to say that most people who claim to have lost their faith in God as a result of the Holocaust, if you dug deep enough, I'm not so sure how much they believed in God before their experience in the Holocaust. Oh, they may have gone to services, they may have observed holidays and holy days, had seders and everything else, but observing the commandments and being active in the synagogue isn't exactly the same thing as saying I believe in God. I have members of my synagogue, very devout atheists, who also keep kosher, who also keep Shabbat. So it's a different issue. It's a different question.
Right. That's really cool.
Okay. Well, it's true.
Right.
Okay. So how can I believe in God after the Holocaust? Either means that there is no God, because if there was a God, then God would have saved the Jews of Europe much as God saved the Jews from Egypt. Okay. Or it means that the Holocaust was so great a problem that it made a person of faith lose their faith. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Either God does not exist, or there's no point in believing in God, even if God exists, because the Holocaust happened in spite of the fact that there is a God, or as proof that there is no God. But either way, why bother believing in God if God doesn't even save his own people from the Holocaust?
Right.
Okay. Jewishly and logically, those are the stupidest things I have ever heard anybody explain. And let me say why.
Okay.
Okay. There is nothing about the Holocaust that presents any new arguments against the belief in God. There is nothing about the Holocaust that presents anything new in terms of an argument against the existence or belief in God. Okay?
Got it.
Why do people say they don't believe in God? Okay? Based on the Holocaust. Okay?
Right.
Well, because there were 6 million people. The magnitude of the Holocaust is so enormous that it becomes a unique challenge to the existence of God. Wait a minute. Okay, so you're telling me if there were 5,999,999 Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, well, then I'd believe in God. But now that it's gone over to 6 million, then I can't believe in God. Okay, so where exactly is that number where when you get beyond that number, the belief in God becomes hard to believe? Where was God becomes the issue, okay? Why is faith in God possible when God even allows one innocent good person to die, but when God allows 6 million to die, well, then I can't believe anymore. At what number does faith in God become impossible?
Right.
Cut it in half. 3 million? 1 million? 100,000? 10,000? Okay.
I love your ringtone, by the way.
Well, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. At what number does belief in God become so changed? Okay. One person who dies, who's a good person, as we are seeing right now because of the coronavirus, that alone should render the belief in God questionable, because the good should not die. But why is it that when we say 6 million, so 6 million is a number, so when does that number become so great? Okay, or worse, we will say, oh, well, it's 6 million Jews who died. Well, wait a minute. So if there are members of the black community in Rwanda that die in large numbers, okay, well, that we don't worry about that. But what makes me worry about the existence of God is only when 6 million Jews die. Okay, I find that to be reprehensible. Okay, the Holocaust doesn't represent anything new. The only thing is that the Nazis were more efficient at their killing. But the murdering of Jews has been going on for 2020 years. Okay, so the Holocaust really doesn't represent anything new except it was more efficient. Okay, from a human standpoint, killing 6 million is 6 million times more horrible a sin than murdering one. But from the standpoint of asking, why did God not stop the murder of the innocent? The question is identical regardless of the number. Okay? And while it's true that 1 out of every 3 Jews in the world was murdered at the hands of the Nazis, it's also true that approximately 1 out of every 3 Jews in the world was also murdered between the years 1648 and 1655, only a 7-year span of time, with the Chmielnicki massacres in Poland.
Wow.
Okay?
Right.
So, but there were fewer people on earth, fewer Jews, so you can murder the same third because the number of Jews are smaller, so the 1/3 is smaller as well, if you catch the numbers, what I'm saying there. Okay? The number and its magnitude is not new. There are those who dispute the figure, by the way, for the Chmielnicki massacres, but the numbers don't create the problem of God. The murder of the innocent creates the problem of God's existence. And why should we believe in God if God can't protect the innocent? Okay. The next issue that makes people question the existence of God because of the Holocaust, as I said, is because, well, there were 6 million Jews. Okay. That's racist. It's not race. So if we're not a race, what does it become? Ethnocentric? Okay. All right. So if we're God's own people, the Jews have been faithful to God for so long, even from Egypt until now, as we say. How can God allow God's own people, 6 million of them, 1/3 of every Jew in the world, to die so horrible a death? Okay. Which brings us right to the question of Passover and the Holocaust. If God can save the Jews from slavery in Egypt, why couldn't God save the Jews from the Holocaust? The point is, and you're the one I'm talking to, William.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you, do you believe that God saved the Jews from slavery in Egypt?
Yes.
Okay. Now, because why not? We've got it. I want you to go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 to 14.
Okay, give me one moment.
Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 and 14.
Okay, I think I should have it now. Okay, let me scroll down one page. There we go. Okay. So there you go. Whoop, I gotta ignore the screen that you're in, of course. Hang on a second. I didn't realize I did not have that screen cropped, so I don't want to create a distraction, so I'm going to make sure that people can see your handsome face while we talk and read. Give me 1 second. It's on your screen, though, just letting you guys know. And... Sorry. Okay, there we go. I feel better now. Okay, 13, 14. And he said to Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them. Keyword afflict. They shall afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. Ooh, key. And afterward shall they come out with a great substance. Did that happen?
Now let me ask you a question.
Okay.
We know that this is exactly what happened, right? I mean, we're about to celebrate the events that indicated happened in 2 nights.
Now we're talking about Pesach, but how does
We're talking about Passover.
But how does this? Did Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust remembrance, did that moment, did that same thing occur with that?
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying it did.
Oh, okay. I was just wanting to clarify. Okay, go ahead.
No. What I'm saying is this, okay?
Yep.
And God said to Abraham in Genesis, before Moses, and God said to Abraham, know well that your offspring shall be strangers in a land not theirs. They shall be enslaved and oppressed 400 years. But I will execute judgment on the nation they serve. And in the end, they shall go free with great wealth.
Okay.
For 430 years.
Okay.
From the moment the Jews went into Egypt to the moment they came out. And you want to say, oh, well, they didn't serve for 430 years. They actually were slaves for 200 or whatever. Well, 200 years is 10 generations. It means that people were born as slaves. lived as slaves,
Right.
slaved as slaves, and died as slaves. So you're telling me that God saved them?
Interesting.
No, God did not save the Jews from slavery.
Right.
God saved the Jews who were alive at the time of Moses
Interesting.
from slavery.
Interesting. Right.
God never, listen to me very carefully. This is so important with the covenant between the eternal covenant between the eternal God and the people of the Jewish people who are also eternal.
Okay.
The covenant was made with the group, with the people. Okay? Sinai, Jews are present. God makes the covenant with the Jewish people as a people. God never said that individual Jews wouldn't suffer and die horribly. What God said is that the nation as a whole will survive. There will be a remnant. When we say that God saved the Jews from slavery in Egypt, it's not true. God only saved the generation that was alive at the time of Moses, but for 200, 400, give it a number, I don't care, of however long they were serving as slaves. They were born as slaves, lived as slaves, served as slaves, and died as slaves. They were not the ones saved. So don't tell me that God saved the Jews from slavery in Egypt. Well, he did, but only the generation that was alive at the time of Moses.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay, but that is an incredibly important characteristic of Passover we have to remember.
Right.
Okay, so God did not save this. God saved the Jews from slavery, but it was only the generation that was alive at the time of Moses that were saved. Okay, most of the Jews did not come out of slavery in Egypt. Most of the Jews over 200, 400, give it a number, period of time, okay, died. Because it was only the generation that was alive at Moses' time that was actually saved. Most Jews never made it out of Egypt. Most Jews did not survive, but the Jewish people as a people survived. Okay? Individual Jews are going to suffer. All the covenant between God and God's chosen people means is that the Jewish people will always survive. There will be a remnant. Judaism does not believe that God saves every Jew, or even most Jews. Judaism believes that God will always save the Jewish people as a people, and that way it is Judaism that will always survive because God needs Judaism and needs the Jewish people as a people to let the world know about God and God's commandments.
Gotcha. Right. That makes
Okay,
sense.
it's vital to understand this. Okay, I personally would argue, my theology is that God, knowing the future, made sure that there would be two countries strong enough to defeat Hitler. One, 157 years before Hitler came to power, okay? And the other one was approximately 16 years old. The countries were the United States and the Soviet Union. Most Jews were not saved, but just like the Jews for 430 years or 200 whatever years in Egyptian slavery, Judaism was saved, and the Jewish people were saved, and we're still around.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, and why? Because God, knowing the future, made sure that you'd have the United States strong enough, and especially, by the way, 16-year-old Soviet Russia was strong enough to defeat a Hitler. Just like God made a Moses to save the Jewish people who were alive at his time.
Wow.
Okay? All right. By the way, since we're talking about it, okay, I said this earlier. I almost forgot. If one loses faith in God because the 6 million were Jews, I said that this is racist. Cambodian communists, this is before your time, murdered 1 out of every 3 Cambodians, just as the Nazis murdered 1 out of every 3 Jews. That's funny. I don't remember hearing people say, well, I can't believe in God who allowed 2 million Cambodians to be murdered.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay, the communist Soviets murders 10 million Ukrainians, just as the Nazis murdered 6 million Jews. Well, funny, I haven't heard anybody say, you know, it's hard for me to believe in God because he allowed 10 million Ukrainians to be murdered.
Right.
Why does the murder of millions of innocent Jews challenge God any more than the murder of millions of non-Jews?
Yeah.
And why does the murder of 6 million create any bigger question about God than 6 or 1?
Right.
If it's an innocent person, it should automatically make us say, hey, God, okay, Job's question, I just want to know why. Okay. And by the way, why are we only talking murder? Okay. It's okay to believe in God if there's rape. Okay. The rape of a person by definition, if they're raped, they're innocent. Okay.
Right.
That's what it means, right?
Right.
Okay. So rape is injuring the innocent. Why doesn't God take away every woman from the rapist before he rapes her?
Right.
The horrible answer is we are free to do good, we are free to do evil. And it's a horrible answer, but it's the truth.
Right.
Okay? Why do we believe in God when God lets child abuse occur? Why doesn't God take away every child from the abuser before the abuse occurs? The horrible answer is we are free to do evil. Why should we believe in God when God lets birth defects occur? Why doesn't God allow only whole children to form in a woman's body? The horrible answer is that events we call evil exist in our world. Okay? Why should we believe in God when God lets the innocent catch disease? Okay? Which is incredibly enormous right now.
Right.
Thousands of people have died and are expected to die in the next few weeks. Okay? By the way, why should we believe in God when the not so innocent catch diseases that are far greater punishment than their guilt warrants?
Right.
Okay, the effects of HIV infection, AIDS, is far, far worse on the victim than whatever they're engaging in unsafe behavior, okay, or not safe enough behavior. Okay? So the issue isn't the Holocaust. The issue is the existence of any evil, of any degree of evil, that calls into question the existence of God and whether or not we should believe in God. And here comes the simple, horrible answer, is that we human beings are given free will, and in order to be free, we have to be just as free to do evil as we are free to choose to do good.
That's a good point, yeah. Right.
We are free to murder as we are to give and sustain life and to ensure quality of life. We are as free to make the act of sex only an expression of love as we are to make the act of sex an act of violence and power over someone, which, by the way, is what rape really is.
Right.
Okay, we are free to love our children as we are free to abuse them. We are free to take drugs from alcohol to marijuana to cocaine to heroin as we are free to say no to all drug abuse. We have been given free will to make the world any other way is to remove from our grasp what makes us human, the ability to choose between right and wrong. Animals don't have that ability. Well, some dogs I know do. Cats, no cat does. Just kidding. Okay. All right. We have the ability to choose right from wrong, and we become culpable for our choice between the two. A dog doesn't say, doesn't make a moral choice when he leaves something on the rug. Okay. It's not a moral choice. He's following his instinct. Humans have choice. And that means we are free to do evil as we are free to do the good.
Right.
Okay? If an ant, okay, is walking along, okay, and a foot comes down from the sky and kills the brother ant, do you think the brothers of the ant that got stepped on weep and wail because God let a foot fall down on their brother? Okay? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay? Ants get stepped on. Okay? People get diseases. And sickness doesn't have any meaning except what we put onto it. I have seen so many ministers, okay? This must be a Protestant thing, William. I haven't seen Catholics do this that I know of. Okay? At least in my world, I haven't seen it. But a lot of ministers are saying, well, you know, this virus is God's condemnation. Okay, I've seen them put up 2 Chronicles 7:14, okay, as
right.
if to say that when we repent, the calamity will go away.
Right.
Okay. We live in a world where people can do unbelievably beautiful things or unspeakably horrible things to each other.
Right.
And that, whether we like it or not, is how God created the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, and we don't give God credit with the beauty in the world. We assume that. We only give God blame when we see evil.
Right.
Okay.
You know, I was thinking about something as you were the whole time you were talking about this thing. So, whenever my kids were younger, and I'm hoping this makes sense. If it doesn't, I should have thought it through more. But when my kids were younger, I was always trying to stay on top of their behavior toward each other, keeping in mind the Jews versus the world, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized every time that they would act indecent towards each other, I would go in and force them. I would say, no, you stop what you're doing right now, and you apologize right now, and make sure that you do this, right? And so David would stop what he was doing, he would apologize, and then the next day, Sarah would do something, and I would say, no, you stop right now, and you apologize to him right now, because you should not have done this. And I did this for like 3 years, realizing that as time went on, it wasn't fixing anything. They were only despising the fact that they had to apologize on something they thought they were doing right to start with, right? And so it wasn't until I turned it over to them and I said, listen, I said, you guys work this out. Y'all figure out a way to work through this. It wasn't until then to where they really started actually making sense of things. So if Hashem was to come in and just smite every single person every time they touched a Jew or every time they did something wrong, then you would remove the faith factor to begin with, because then you wouldn't have to know. Everybody would be terrified of this divine foot from the sky crushing the ants every single time somebody did something wrong. So by God intervening, if the Holocaust happened and God came in and just crushed the world, then it would have not fixed anything. It would have just made people afraid of that foot in the sky. It wouldn't have fixed people's hearts.
And the foot in the sky doesn't even know the ant is there.
Right. Yeah, right.
You know, blaming God because a foot comes down from the sky when the foot doesn't even know the sky, when the foot doesn't even know the ant is there, is as equally, in my opinion, morally wrong as blaming God when the Holocaust happens, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay. Carry on.
All right. When we say, where's God in the Holocaust? It's as if God is hiding from us, which is like saying that the sun hides when there's a solar eclipse. The sun didn't move away. The sun didn't hide itself. The earth and the moon changed positions. The sun is exactly where it was a few minutes before the eclipse, and it'll be at the same basic place after the eclipse.
That's okay? A great example.
And God didn't move. God is still there. God didn't pull away from us. God is still there for us.
But does that suggest that the moon has power over the sun?
Well, the moon may have power over the sun, but the moon doesn't even know what it's doing. It's just floating in space.
It's by chance.
It's not a conscious entity. The moon blocks the sun and makes the earth cool for a little bit because where the sun doesn't hit, the sun's rays doesn't heat up the earth or something. But the moon is an inanimate object. It has no consciousness. Okay, we have a consciousness that says, I can do good, I can build a hospital, I can do bad, I can build a gas chamber. Our choice, not God's.
I'd like to add the fact that we
excuse me, well, go ahead.
We do have the power, if we wanted to choose, to reject God and to do something evil on our own. That doesn't make God evil. That makes us.
Exactly my point.
Very good.
That's exactly my point in all of this.
Very good.
That is like saying, okay, that's like saying, you know who Carrie Nation was?
No, I know the name sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is.
All right, Carrie Nation led the campaign against alcoholic beverages being sold. Okay, Carrie Nation would go in with her fellow, what's the word when you want to make nobody able to drink?
Yeah,
forgot the word.
I don't like her already.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, but should we blame Carrie Nation when there's a drunk driver? When Carrie Nation is the one who tells us not to drink, and yet that's what we're doing with God. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The behavior of people makes it seem like God is absent, allowing evil to be perpetrated, but God is still there. God has not changed, okay? And God is the one who tells us, don't make gas chambers, make hospitals. God said, thou shalt not murder. God said, rape is evil, okay?
Right.
God said, love your neighbor as yourself, to treat the stranger as the homeborn.
Right.
Okay? God is the one who tells us what is moral and what is not moral, what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil. And blaming God for the Holocaust when it's people who did it against people is like blaming Carrie Nation when there's a drunk driver.
Or blaming a buffet restaurant for overweight people. Same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Same thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
You could argue that putting it out makes it available. If a heroin heroin pusher gave it away, he's making business down the road when he starts charging for it.
Right. Yep.
Okay. But that's not what we're dealing with the Holocaust.
Yeah, agreed.
God is the one who tells us don't do the Holocaust, and the people who turn their back on God, they're blaming God for when God is the one who tells us don't do it, which means that the people who perpetrate the Holocaust are the ones who put a deaf ear to God's commandments. They're the ones not listening to God. They're the ones who are rejecting God at Sinai and saying, thou shalt murder. Murder's okay. God is the one who screams at us, thou shalt not murder, and blaming God who screams at us, thou shalt not murder, is morally reprehensible because God is the one who tells us not to. And who are we left? If we reject God, who are we left to believe in? Who is there left to put our faith in?
Right.
Human beings?
Right.
Human beings who chose to perpetrate the Holocaust or to turn a blind eye? I was only following orders, or I didn't know what was going on. Okay?
Right.
People who will blame God for the Holocaust are the people who are blaming the one entity in the universe who tells us not to do the Holocaust. Okay, if you stop believing in God and you recognize that people can choose to do evil, what is there left to believe in?
Right.
Okay, German society didn't stop Hitler. Austrian society voted, I think, to join the Nazis. God tells us don't follow the multitude to do evil. God says justice shall you pursue.
Right.
God tells us don't stand idle while your neighbor bleeds. The people who did the Holocaust ignore the words of God. That's why they did the Holocaust. To stop believing in God because of the Holocaust and to start believing in humanity or society who perpetrated the Holocaust is morally, ethically, and logically stupid.
Right.
Okay? How can I believe in God after the Holocaust? How can I not believe in God after the Holocaust? How can I believe in God after the Holocaust? How can I believe in anyone in any society in anything else besides God after the Holocaust?
Right.
Okay? So when I first started our conversation, okay, why does this prove to me that Judaism is the best religion to be a part of? And I kind of said it or hinted at it. Okay? All right? Who is the people that brought the idea of a moral God, okay, God who's one, indivisible, and unique, and moral and just? Who brought the idea of that God to the rest of the world? Okay, who creates the idea of a God who demands that God's creation also be moral and just? Who brought that concept to the rest of the world? Okay, what one people was chosen by God to be a light to the nations, telling the world that God exists, there's only one God, and God demands all of his creation to be moral and ethical. Okay, why do you think it was the Jews that Hitler chose to eliminate? Okay, some will say, oh, well, Hitler said that had there been no Jews, I'd have had to have invented them, which is a stupid statement. Okay, right. I'd love to see that prove that he actually said that.
You bring up a great point, though. If Hitler thought that if Hitler was going to wipe out any nation, it would be the one nation that he thought was a threat to him.
Exactly right? My point.
So it wasn't the Americans, it wasn't the Mexicans, it wasn't the Indians, it was the Jewish people. He took out the big dog on campus to try to overrule
Exactly
the world.
correct,
Right?
because we are always at the forefront
Yep.
of seeking justice, not love.
Right.
Okay, and by the way, I am literally quoting Hitler himself. Okay, Hitler defined his mission against the Jews as the destruction, and I'm quoting, of the tyrannical God of the Jews and his life-denying 10 Commandments.
Wow.
Hitler defined his mission against the Jews
It's 100%
as
selfish.
the destruction of the tyrannical God of the Jews
Wow.
and his life-denying 10 Commandments. Okay? This is crazy, and I know it is, but the creator of the German racial theory, okay, the person who created Germany's idea of race and superior races and everything else, was a guy named Houston Stewart Chamberlain. Okay? And what did he write? The Jew came into our gay world and spoiled everything with his ominous concept of sin and his law.
Wow.
Ever heard of Richard Wagner?
Huh.
Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. That's Richard Wagner. That's why Jews don't play his music in the weddings.
Oh, wow.
Okay. By the way, a lot of Christian churches don't either, because his writings were pagan, was glorifying the pagan gods of Germany, Woden and all that stuff.
Right. Wow.
Richard Wagner, okay, author of the Here Comes the Bride music, okay, emancipation from the yoke of Judaism appears to be the foremost necessity. Okay? There's a book called The Anguish of the Jews, which talks about the Christian roots of anti-Semitism. It was Judaism that gave the concept of a God-given universal moral law into the world, and the Jew carries the burden of God in history, and for this has never been forgiven. Okay, the rabbis, by the way, this is in what's the word? The wise of the Jewish people, may they rest in peace. Okay.
Okay.
May their memory be. At any rate, okay. They showed the similarity between the word Sinai, okay, which in Hebrew is pronounced Sinai,
Right.
and the Hebrew word for hate, which is Sinah.
Oh.
They equate what happened at Sinai for bringing Sinah, hate, into the world against the Jews, because the hatred for Jews emanates from Sinai, where the Jews received from God a God-based moral and ethical law, which all of humanity are held accountable to.
That's no different than the Christianity putting on the statue of Moses horns, whenever the Hebrew word from horns and crown are so similar.
Well, there's another reason, actually. People will say it's because of the word Karen, which means, like Karen Kayemet is horn of plenty.
Right.
Okay? Like, the thing with food coming out of it. Okay? But that's not really where they get the idea of Jews and horns.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That comes from Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44, somewhere around there, where Jesus says that the Jews are the children of devil and murderers and liars, like Satan, their father. So if Satan is our father, the devil is our father, then we look like the devil. Where's our horns? I have a picture of me in, not Venice, what's it called? The other city in Italy, not it's where the Michelangelo's Moses with the horns. I have a picture of me standing in front of it like this. I'll should find that somewhere.
Yep.
All right. At any rate, okay. The point I'm making is that the reason why the Jews were chosen by the Nazis and by people who hate freedom is because we represent the greatest freedom givers in the world.
Right.
And historically have always sought out justice. But if you want to perpetrate injustice, you got to get rid of the people who are going to fight you the most, which are the Jewish people.
Yeah.
It's a weird compliment. It's pardon the expression for left-handed people, but it's called a left-handed compliment. I think that's called a left-handed. Anyway, the point is that history has shown us that the people who fight the most against evil are the first to die at the hands of those who are evil.
Right.
And the first to fight against evil are the religious communities, and most likely it's the Jews.
Right. Wow.
Okay. All right. There's a book whose name I can't remember. It's the family who wrote it is called the Oliners. Okay, Oliner, and it's called I can't remember. Okay, but they studied the Holocaust, but the people they studied in the Holocaust are the non-Jews who saved Jews. Okay, they studied why did people do the most improbable, illogical, immoral, unethical act of saving Jews. Now you're going, wait a minute, Rabbi, what do you mean? What do you mean illogical and unethical? So you're saying that for the sake of strangers, I should take my children's life and put it, under a guillotine? It is way above and beyond rational reason to demand of people to put their lives and the lives of their families on the line to save Jews. Okay? So they studied, why did they do it? Okay, it was an interview I heard with the Oliner couple. They're both like sociologists or anthropologists or something like that. And they were asked the following question. Okay, a Jewish family in Germany has 4 people to go to try to get help. They have the mayor, they have the priest, they have their next door neighbor. Why is it I always forget one? The mayor, the priest, the next door neighbor, like the family friend, and somebody else. I can't remember, whatever.
Maybe a family member?
Maybe a family member. Well, the family is probably also Jewish, so I can't remember. The point is that they asked the Oliners, from your studies, which of those 4, sorry, I can only remember 3, would be the most likely to save you? They said the mayor's going to play politics, and if the Nazis have the power, he's going to tell on you. He said, your next door neighbor may be friends, but they're scared too. The most likely one to help you would be the priest. Now, he may choose not to help you, but he won't tell on you either. Isn't that interesting? Okay, religion leads to morality and ethics. Okay, the people who brought religion and morality and ethics are the people that will be fought the first by the people who have no morality and ethics.
Right.
Okay.
It's kind of like Job in a way, because Job was.
Job is excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, Job is excellent. Why? And I've said this before in other shows, because the ending, the real ending, the totally last at the very end ending.
Right. Okay.
Job is basically given the answer of 42. Okay, what's the name of the book? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, right.
Where they ask the biggest computer that's the size of a whole planet, what's the meaning of life? And he gives the answer of 42 because that's about as close you're going to get to understanding. So God gives the same basic answer to Job. Where were you when I laid out the Pleiades? Where were you when I set up the Big Dipper and Little Dipper? Where were you when we put the planets in place? You'd have no comprehension of what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay, I could give you an answer, but you're not even going to understand it. But at the very end, because that's not the end, the very end, God is rebuking the friends of Job, and he says, only Job has spoken rightly. You are not going to understand an answer, but you are right to ask the question.
Nice.
It's I love the book of Job.
Right.
Okay. At any rate,
now my connection I was drawing to your original statement was the fact that like the priest was the most likely to save you because he wasn't the one to pull the trigger, but he also wouldn't rat you out. So that was kind of the role.
The Oliners who studied what led people to actually save Jews during the Holocaust. That was their answer.
And that was the role of Job in the Midrash whenever it came down to when the 3 counsels to Pharaoh had presented, one counsel to Pharaoh, Balaam had presented the answer to solving the riddle, if you want to call it, the problem of somebody's going to, a young boy is going to be born. He's going to like deliver the Jews, to freedom. And so Job was the one who actually, he didn't come up with the idea to kill them. That would be Balaam, according to the Midrash. But Job said, you know what? He goes, that would work, but he didn't actually give the idea, but he also didn't rat them out. That's the whole point.
Right.
And Jethro said, screw you guys, I'm out of here. So anyway.
All right. So finally, okay, I think I have answered the question, okay, how can I believe in God after the Holocaust? And my answer is, how can you not believe in God
Why
after the
wouldn't
Holocaust?
you? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
But that leads us to the next question. That's the parallel question that people ask when it comes to this Passover Holocaust thing. Where was God in the Holocaust? And my answer is that God was crying. God was holding out God's arms to us as if to hug us, asking only for us to come to God. Where was God in the Holocaust? He was crying at humanity's inhumanity. He was begging for people to believe in God and to start listening to God and following the commandments, okay? Because that's what leads the world to the ideal, okay, of what God has in plan for humanity, for the world. Okay, where was God in the Holocaust? Okay, he was crying and begging us to listen to God, who says, "Thou shalt not murder. Don't stand idle while your neighbor bleeds. Justice shall you pursue." Okay,
Right.
That's where God was in the Holocaust. Where was God in the Holocaust? He was giving people who believed the strength to get through the crap that was being thrown at them at the time.
That is actually a very great point. I actually have a testimony on the show, Tanakh Talk, of a Holocaust survivor.
Really?
And although I don't remember the details of...
You remember the name? How do we look it up?
Yeah, I can actually look it up for you right now, actually. But
Please.
it was interrupted by... people were asking me to take phone calls during the show, and when I did, one of them got interrupted his speech. And then I got ridiculed for taking phone calls by the same people who told me I should take phone calls. So that was kind of awkward. I'll look it up right now, though. Holocaust survivor, blah, blah, blah. Let me see here. Let me see. That's a great time to actually research this. So that would be... his name is Peter Moshe Loth. Testimony number 357. I'll actually put a link somewhere if I can. 1 second. I don't know if YouTube will allow me to, but I'm going to go copy. Stop this guy from talking on the ad, and then I'm going to go.
No, if it's in the chat, you can't.
You can't paste a link.
You can't put a link. You have to put spaces between the link.
Okay, well that's good. That's what I'll do then, and you guys can actually
and write out. Don't say dot. Don't put the actual period. Put the word DOT.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'll do that right now. So let me go here.
So like Tanakh, space
where
talk,
is my Facebook Live
space
event?
dot, space.
There it is. Okay, here we go. All right, I'll put it in here right now. So I'm going to go like this, paste. Okay, so I'll just put spaces. If you guys see a space or two spaces, take them out, and that'll fix the problem. I'm putting two spaces in between the dynamic parts. There it is right there. So just take the spaces out, and that's the link to this testimony. I've got to go back and watch it. It was actually quite some time ago when we did this actual testimony. In fact, it was actually in 2017. So about 5 years ago. No, I'm sorry, 3 years ago. And so my memory is not that great, but I'm definitely, now that we've having this discussion, I'm definitely going to go back and watch this video. So, yeah. So there you go. Peter Loth. But the point is, I brought that up for a reason, though. What you said was, where was God during the Holocaust? And the answer was, he was with the survivors. He was with the people, giving them encouragement.
He was with the people who tried to get through the Holocaust. There's a great book called God in Search of Man by Viktor Frankl. And he says that, and I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but it was something to the effect of, a person can survive any what if they understand why. In other words, if you have something like a goal, something to live for, then it doesn't matter what's thrown at you. You'll survive whatever they throw at you because you've got a reason to survive what they throw at you. But those who had no goal, they had no hope, no view of when it was over, they're the ones who died. And I'm really butchering his idea. Don't go by me. Read Viktor Frankl. Okay? With any why you can figure out a how or something. I can't remember how he worded it.
Gotcha. Right.
All right. No, let me say this because it's very important.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I have been influenced on how I understand the Holocaust and where I think God was in the Holocaust and how I approach the concept of how can I believe in God after the Holocaust from a wide variety of sources. Okay. Ecclesiastes is my favorite book of the Bible, the book of Job. Okay. Viktor Frankl, Dennis Prager, huge influence. Okay. So everything I'm saying may sound like it comes from Stuart Federow, but the truth of the matter is do your own research, read things for yourself. You're going to find a whole lot of really good answers to the questions, where was God in the Holocaust? How can I believe in God after the Holocaust? Okay?
Right, gotcha.
All right.
Well, why don't we draw near and actually get ready to call this a night? It's been a great show. Been a long day for me, of course. I've been here since about 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning.
I'm sure.
But the
I
show,
saw some of it.
The show tonight was really, and you try to sneak in a phone call. Really? Do you really think
that was funny?
Did you
were
really
asking for questions? You'd recognize my voice, though. Darn it!
I did. The moment you talked, I was like, "What does he call me?" And wait, what are you acting like you don't know me for?
I was going to my joke was I was going to call and say, you asked for questions about Passover Seder.
Yes.
I'd like to know of the wise child, the wise son, the evil son, the one who doesn't have the capacity to ask.
Which one am I?
And the simple son. Which one are you?
That's funny. You did good.
Yeah.
You did good. Hey, when are you going to delight me with your presence again? That's what I want to know.
When the coronavirus thing is over.
Yeah, we'll definitely then for sure.
Could be July. I mean, it's
honestly, I don't predict anything. But if someone was to ask me, hang on a second, I'm going to talk to Sarah.
Wait, say it again.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my daughter is here and my wife too, so I had to
Hi. Hello.
Good. Okay, so what was I saying? I completely got distracted. I don't remember what I was talking about. So, isn't that precious?
Yeah. All right. Well,
apparently it's been a long day. So, yeah. Anyway,
if you believe God saved the Jews from the Holocaust, start over. If you believe God saved the Jews from Egypt, you have to believe that God also saved the Jews from the Holocaust.
Right, because there were survivors from both. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I completely agree.
And God created Russia and the United States to be powerful enough to defeat a Hitler. Okay. And if you believe in one, that God saved the Jews from Egyptian slavery, you have to believe God also saved the Jews from the Holocaust.
I totally agree.
I forgot to explicitly say that when we were talking about it.
Well, that definitely clarified it. Rabbi, thank you so much. I really appreciate you tackling this. This is truly something that probably has been needing for a long time. There may not be a lot of people interested in it, but the ones who are going to find great comfort in this, I think. I sure did. I didn't expect your answers.
It will make them start thinking. That's what's important.
And that's the key. That's the key. So, Rabbi, thank you again for your time. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on notifications so that you're alerted every time we go live. And until then, you guys, we'll see you.
And until then, donate to Tanakh Talk.
Thank you.
Go to TanakhTalk.com and click on the button that says donate.
Appreciate that. Especially now, I'm a construction worker, and my construction has been like dead. I'm like,
Sure.
Okay, so, and I know a lot of you guys, no joke, I know a lot of you guys are also struggling financially as well because of the coronavirus is limiting your work skills, your work environment, things like that. So definitely if you're hurting, I would never be happy knowing that you sent money here, knowing that you guys were hurting as well. But for those of you who are not, that would certainly be appreciated. So, Rabbi, again, for you, you're amazing. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time. And for all you guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Same time, same place, Hashem willing. Do you remember next week, I don't think we're going to have a couple shows. I don't remember which ones, but I'll try to post as many updates as I can as far as that goes. So you guys just kind of keep tuned in for all the updates whenever I put them out. So then you'll know what's going on. So Rabbi, thank you so much. And for all of you who are interested, and I'm turning Rabbi down so he doesn't interrupt me now, a couple great books out here I put on your screen right now. Rabbi Singer's Let's Get Biblical 2-volume book set available at outreachjudaism.org. Rabbi Stuart Federow, your guest speaker for tonight, who's here every week. Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast, is available at his website and at Amazon.com. His website is whatjewsbelieve.org. Also at whatjewsbelieve.org, you will find what used to be an app available called J Mission Control, which would be Jewish Mission Control, which they're having issues with right now. But the website is everything and then more. Go to that website. Go to whatjewsbelieve.org and just save the website to your phone as a favorite, and then you basically have the app on your phone. Same exact functions, same exact information and everything. From there, you can also order his book, Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. Next up, Revealing Matthew's Secret, Jason the Cross. Brilliant work. Great title, great information, great guy. Leaving Jesus, James Wood Jr., one of my favorite books. Sorry, Rabbi, above all, because that's the last book I read before leaving Jesus. Gotta love it. You guys have a great week. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Shalom, shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, for your time and all your efforts and work. Thank you.
חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. אני אתה אתם תמיד כולם ביחד. חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה בסוף כולנו שותפים, חשוב תמיד